Barrelheads, we've got a confession for you. Not all Scotch is created equal, and some are just downright disappointing.
Overpriced, overhyped, and just plain underwhelming. Today, we're calling out 7 Scotches you should probably skip.
All right, so before the Scotch purists come at us with their pitchforks, let's be clear. This is not about hating Scotch. We love Scotch.
Yeah.
I even have a malt whiskey shirt on that I'm probably gonna get sued for wearing. But it's okay. That's how much I love Scotch.
We just think that some bottles don't live up to the hype, the price tag, or even their own reputation.
That's right. So, Ryan, what is our criteria for today? What are we using to determine what we don't like about these specific Scotches?
So we chose ones that were either overpriced for what they offer, overhyped but underwhelming, too young or poorly aged for the price, unbalanced flavors, or inconsistent batches. And trust us, we got some hot takes coming up. All right, first on our list, we've got Jura 10. It's a whiskey that somehow manages to be peated, fruity, and metallic all at the same time.
Yeah. You know, and this is a shame because I actually love Jura. I think that they make some really good stuff, but Jura is one of those distilleries that always seems like it should be a little bit better than it actually is.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's got that cool island distillery vibe, and you'd expect something unique, but instead it's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's like it kind of doesn't know what it wants to be. It's slightly peated, but not in a satisfying way. It's got some sweetness, but it's weirdly artificial. And then there's that odd metallic sulfuric note. It kind of makes you feel like you're drinking whiskey out of like an old tin can or something. And some people, they blame the stills, some people blame the barrels, but whatever it is, it really makes this whiskey, the Jura 10 in particular, off-putting and very inconsistent. Like one batch might be okay, and the next one tastes like you licked a wet copper pipe. Yeah, if you've ever done that.
I have not, but now I know what it probably tastes like.
Yeah. All right, if you want a coastal, lightly peated whiskey, this isn't it, okay? There are better options out there that don't taste like industrial runoff.
Oof. You know what? That's rough, but I agree. Our verdict is that this is an unbalanced, inconsistent whiskey that is not worth the price.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a coastal whiskey with some light peat but actual balance, check out some of these options, including Highland Park 12, which is a well-balanced mix of smoke, honey, and spice, and it doesn't have a weird aftertaste. And also Talisker 10. That's a true island whiskey with rich smoke, salt, and a lot of depth.
Those are all great, Ryan, and I will also throw in the Ardmore single malt. It's a solid, affordable, lightly peated Highland malt that somehow gets it a lot more right than the Jura. And there's also other older Juras that to me are more reliable than the 10-year. So don't write off the Jura distillery completely.
Right.
I think they make some good stuff. I actually have some bottles here in the back.
Yep.
But this specific bottle, the Jura 10, is one that I would say steer away from.
Yeah. All right, guys, before we move on to number 2, we want to tell you a little bit about what we're drinking. Because this is a video of Scotches to avoid, this is a bourbon.
This tastes like Christmas in a glass.
This one is from a craft distillery in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's named after one of the neighborhoods in Louisville.
And it's a bourbon that is finished in an exotic Brazilian wood.
Now, we need you to guess in the comments what the distillery is and what the type of wood is.
All right, Ryan, hit us with the number 2 option of whiskeys to avoid. And this is a doozy.
Yeah, this is a 2 for 1. Because next up, we're talking about Johnnie Walker Blue and Red Label.
That's right.
One is overpriced. The other is, well, painful.
Yeah, and let me start with the blue because I actually like the blue a lot. This is a bottle that sits behind the glass in every high-end bar.
Yeah.
And people assume that it's incredible just because it's expensive. But when you actually drink it, it's good for sure. I like it. I think it's a really, really good blended whiskey, but that's what it is. It's a $250 blended whiskey. I don't think it makes sense to pay that much for a blended malt when you have many others in the market that are just as good.
You're essentially paying for the marketing here, a nice label, a nice bottle, the brand itself. You're not actually paying for the whiskey that excites you.
You can literally get 3 incredible single malts and probably more incredible blended scotches for the same price.
Yeah.
The guts that Johnnie Walker has to charge that amount of money for a blended whiskey, you could suck it, Johnnie Walker. That's what I say to you. Suck on that. Yeah, I said it.
Hey.
Yeah, I said it.
All right, now at the complete other end of the spectrum, we have the red label. And this one's rough. All right, it's young, it's harsh, it's about as subtle as a throat punch. If there's any upside here at all, I've never seen something unite Redditors more than their hatred of Johnnie Walker Red Label.
Look at that.
It unites people, it's amazing.
There you go. Well, at least something has to unite us.
Yeah.
At least it's the hatred for Johnnie Walker Red. And you know what? I will second that with Johnnie Walker Blue, because Johnnie Walker Blue, again, I stress, it's a tasty whiskey. It should not be $250 MSRP, you Johnnie Walker son of a bitch.
Look at that, he's got neck veins popping out. What are you doing, Johnnie Walker?
I'm getting angry. You won't like me when I'm angry.
No, he turns into the Hulkette.
Yes. I become green and I start doing leg kicks to New York, New York. That's what I do.
So the verdict here, if you couldn't tell, is that blue is way overpriced and red is best left on the bottom shelf.
Right. So if you're looking for a premium blend that actually delivers, or a solid budget pick, check these out instead. Chivas Regal 18, a smooth premium blend that's actually worth the money, or even Johnnie Walker Green Label, which is a blended malt with actual depth and complexity.
Yeah, you don't want to completely hate on Johnnie Walker here because they do make good stuff.
They do.
The black label's fantastic.
I love the black label.
And the green label is a solid alternative for these. I'd also say Monkey Shoulder. That's a fantastic, affordable blend scotch that blows the red label out of the water. Next on our list, Glenlivet Founders Reserve. Or some people call it, why the hell did they swap this out for the 12-year?
Especially in Europe. I feel bad for those guys. Because they literally just swapped those out.
Yeah.
At least in the United States, we have both.
Yes.
So we can pick the 12-year if we want.
That is true.
And because of that, this actually made a lot of Glenlivet fans mad. Glenlivet 12 used to be the go-to budget space side. And it still is in most places.
Yeah.
But in some markets, they swapped it out for this no age statement bottle. What the hell, Ryan? What the hell were they thinking?
They weren't.
They weren't thinking.
They clearly did not know their fan base.
No.
Yeah. And it seems that with the removal of the age statement, Glenlivet removed some of the quality with it. So the Founders Reserve is super light, it's super thin, and it doesn't have any depth at all. It's like they started making the proper Glenlivet and it was like, good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you got a little vanilla, you got a little fruit, but it's pretty watery. And then it just disappears pretty much as soon as you swallow it.
Yeah.
It's mediocre and not in any way like the original Glenlivet 12.
Not even close.
Not even close. You could go suck at Glenlivet for making us as founders garbage.
And to add insult to injury, they priced it like the Glenlivet 12.
They did.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. But instead of the well-rounded, properly aged one that you're getting in the 12, you're getting something that just screams unfinished.
If you're getting into scotches, you want to try something that actually makes you feel like you're drinking a scotch and actually has a little bit more character.
And if you're looking for that light, approachable scotch that actually has some depth, then try the Glenlivet 12. Another one you should also try is the Abelauer 12. If you like fruity and rich Speyside malts with a little bit more body, then this is a great option as well.
It is. I love that Abelauer 12. Oof. The Abelauer. I love you, Abelauer. And I'll even throw in there the Balvenie 12 Doublewood. Another scotch that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
It's a beginner-friendly scotch with real complexity.
Yes.
It's still a little bit up on the pricey side.
It is.
I think most scotches are. But both options that we just mentioned are bolder and they're packed with a lot more flavor than the Founders Reserve from Glenlivet, you son of a bitch. What else are we going to tell these fine folks, these barrel heads of ours?
We're getting a little controversial here.
Yes, we are. Give them the gospel, Ryan.
We're going to talk about the Macallan 18 and 25. Two of the most hyped luxury scotches out there.
Yes, and don't get us wrong. Macallan makes some incredible whiskey. I'm a huge fan of the Macallan.
I am too.
But at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, is this actually worth the money? Especially with inflation. I can't even find eggs anymore. What the hell?
I mean, that is the issue. Macallan 18 is good, but is it $400 good? Same thing with Macallan 25. You're looking at $2,500 for a bottle.
Yes. Oh,
I
the
mean,
pain I feel inside.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, if I'm going to pay $2,500 for that bottle, I want it to do my taxes for me.
Yes. Honestly, taxes is the least that I care about. If I'm buying $2,500 whiskey, it better come with a nice little love-making session. It better give me things that I've never had in my entire life. The real problem with the Macallan is that it used to be all about rich and sherried whiskey at high proof. But now these bottles are a lot of like these premium releases that they come up with, 43% ABV, if that. You're right at that 80 proof. And it just doesn't have the same impact. Plus, we're seeing an oversaturation in the Scotch market right now.
Yeah.
And more craft distilleries are coming out from Scotland, making not just good Scotch, but better Scotch for a fraction of the price.
I mean, if you're spending that luxury level money, then you should be getting luxury level intensity.
I want love making.
I mean, in my opinion, Macallan plays it too safe. You get nice sherry notes, but it's kind of muted. It's all very smooth with not a lot of edge, in my opinion.
And actually, this is where I will disagree with you, just slightly, Ryan.
How dare you?
It has to happen sometimes. It's
Never.
like every couple, sometimes we're gonna have disagreements. All right.
No. No, that's not happening.
But I actually think that the Macallan 25 and the 18-year, both are delicious Scotches. I don't think that the flavor is the problem. The problem to me is the price point. It's way too overpriced. There are way too many other sherry whiskeys out there that for the same price, you could get the exact same thing. All right, the Macallan is really charging extra because of the name.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what's in the bottle.
Okay.
And that's the problem that I have with the Macallan. Suck it.
Regardless of why we think you should avoid these Macallans, the point still stands. If you want a rich sherried Scotch that actually delivers for the price, here are a couple better choices for you. I would recommend the Glendronach 18, which is a true sherry bomb at half the price of the Macallan 18.
That's a great choice.
Yeah. Or even the Balvenie 21 Portwood. That is a luxury Scotch that actually justifies its price.
And it's still a fraction of the price of the Macallan 25.
Yes.
I will also include the Glenfarclas in there, the 21-year in particular. That one is a high quality, heavy sherried whiskey at a fraction of the price. So before we move on, I just want to point out the elephant in the room. Halfway along the way while we were shooting this thing, I lost internet because I guess I haven't paid my internet bill. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know. That's why I need you to subscribe.
Yes.
We need you because I need to pay my electric bill and my internet bill. So please help a brother out.
This guy can barely afford to shower. Look at him. Look at him. Come on.
That's a disgusting mess. Ryan, what do we got next for these fine folks?
I mean, now that we told Macallan to suck it, I mean, you can't really go much lower than that, but we're going to try. Our next whiskey on this list is Dalmore 12. To me, this is a whiskey that looks like it belongs in a billionaire's collection, but it drinks like it belongs on the clearance rack.
Ouch, man. Wow.
Too harsh?
I feel like that's a little harsh, but you know what? We're talking about Dalmore 12 here. I don't think that you're necessarily wrong. That was a kick in Dalmore's nuts though, and I feel a little bit bad about that, but hey, we want to get you guys to drink the best Scotch out there, and Dalmore 12 is not it. It is one of those brands that it's all about luxury marketing. The bottle, like you mentioned, is stunning. The stag logo is classy, but when you actually drink it, it's kind of mid, as the kids call it nowadays. They call it mid, and this is mid.
The problem for me with Dalmore is the proof. Dalmore 12 is bottled at the lowest possible ABV of 40%. And you can tell, to be fair, most Scotches are, but this one in particular, it feels really thin and kind of lifeless. Instead of that full-bodied sherry bomb that you normally would expect, you weirdly get orange, a little bit of spice, and then it just kind of disappears like a crappy magic trick.
Soldaten aussetzt.
Beyond the ABV, don't get me started on the caramel coloring. That's the stuff that pisses me off.
Yeah.
See, Dalmore loads up their whiskey with artificial color to make it look richer than it actually is. And that bothers me. This is why I appreciate bourbon so much. And I'm gonna take a little sip of this beautiful bourbon.
I couldn't even take a sip. I wish I had to look over your goofy ass face, nursing your bourbon.
This is why I appreciate this, Ryan. Because there's no caramel coloring in this sucker right here.
No, it's all barrel.
It's all barrel. And that's the thing with bourbon. You cannot introduce anything other than water into the barrels when you're producing it. Scotch is not like that. It allows you to put caramel coloring. Not all of them do, thankfully. But there are some that do, and they cut corners. And that's what I don't like about Dalmore 12. All that being said, Dalmore 12 is not the worst whiskey in the world. But for $60, it's just not worth it when you have other sherry Scotches out there that actually deliver.
Right.
So, before I name them out to you, I'm going to tell Dalmore 12, here it goes, Ryan. Are you ready for this one? Dalmore 12, you can suck it. And now, here's a couple that I actually recommend. Glendronach 12 and Glenlivet 12.
Those are two solid choices right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Glenlivet, Glendronach, and they're both 12-year.
So many Glens out there.
There are too many Glens,
Yeah.
and their last names just kind of throw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be Glenn Perez?
Glenn Smith.
Yeah, Glenn Smith is a good one. I like Glenn Smith.
Okay.
I want the Hispanic crowd. All right, Ryan, hit us with more truth. What are we going to tell these fine folks next is a crappy Scotch that they should avoid?
Let me open my book of Proverbs here, and I'm gonna go with Laphroaig Select.
Laphroaig is one of the best Isla distilleries out there, so let that be known. They make big, bold, smoky whiskeys, but this isn't it.
No.
Laphroaig Select is basically a watered-down version of one of their greatest hits album. That's the way I'll put it.
Yeah, that's a very nice way to put it.
I'm being very poetic.
Look, you still get some of that peat, some of the smoke, and even some of the medicinal notes, but it's also disappointing. It's like Laphroaig, but they turn the volume way down, and it's just watered down.
And here's the worst part. It's basically the same price as Laphroaig 10, which does have an age statement.
That's right.
That, to me, is what bothers me so much, and that's why Laphroaig, you can suck it. Why would you get this when you could just get the real thing?
Look, if you're looking to get into peated whiskey, this is not the one to start with. Okay, I wouldn't recommend this one at all. And if you already love Laphroaig, this one is going to be a giant letdown for you.
So if you want great peated whiskey with actual depth and character, like we mentioned before, go for the real thing. Go for Laphroaig 10 instead. That's the classic. That's the legend, the one that you should actually buy.
No kidding. And you've talked about it before, how polarizing it is.
It's very polarizing.
Yeah.
They, in Scotland, they actually have commercials that showcase the people who love it and the people who hate it because it's so divisive.
Yeah.
But you know what that also means is that they have transcended bad reviews and all that stuff, and now they just poke fun of it. And they say, you know what? We are who we are, like it or hate it. This is all for you.
A couple others I'd argue should be on this list as well are Ardbeg 10 and Lagavulin 8, because that's the closest in age statement to what we're talking about right now. So if you're looking to get into peated scotches, those are two great options.
Yeah, they're big, they're smoky, and they have everything that Isla has to offer that Laphroaig does as well, but not in the Select. All right, Ryan, hit us with our final one. This is gonna be a controversial one. This is a wide-reaching one. I think this is a good one to discuss.
Yeah, I think this one's gonna get us a little angry.
Oh.
So before we do that, maybe we should take a sip
Yes.
of this.
It's beautiful.
And as a reminder to you out there, this is what we're drinking, okay? We're drinking a bourbon. It's a craft distillery out of Louisville, Kentucky, named after one of the neighborhoods in Louisville.
It's also finished in exotic Brazilian wood, and it tastes like Christmas in a beautiful little glass.
Yeah, so if you think you know what we're drinking, put it in the comments, both the name of the bourbon and the type of wood it's finished in. All right, so for this last one, we're not actually calling out a specific bottle per se. I'm gonna call out an entire category. Generic, no age statement Scotch, bottled at exactly 40% ABV. If you're walking around the liquor store and you see a Scotch with no age statement and the bare minimum 40% ABV, there's a good chance it's gonna be super thin, very young, and probably forgettable.
That's right. Now, to be clear, there are plenty of good 80 proof Scotches out there.
Yeah.
In fact, the majority of Scotches, like you mentioned before, on the market are 80 proof.
Right.
So we're not trying to poo-poo the lower proof whiskey.
Right.
I have no problems with them. Some of my favorite Scotches are 80 proof.
Yeah.
However, the problem for me is when you have a young whiskey in barrels that were previously used and bottled at a lower proof. And then, to top it all off, you add this E158 coloring, this stupid caramel coloring, because your young ass whiskey is too light. And that's when I have a problem with this whole thing. Is when your young ass whiskey is too light and you have to fake it to make it, and then you sell it for way more than you ever should. That's the issue that I have with these no age statement Scotches. When they cheapen out and they make an inferior product and then sell it for a premium. That's the problem that I have. I'm gonna try.
Damn. I wish you guys could see the neck veins popping out of this guy right now because it's intense. And to piggyback off of what you just said with the low proof scotches, there are even some great no age statement scotches out there.
Right.
But a lot of the low end ones, they taste super rushed, weak, and very uninspired. You take a sip and it's like, you know, where's the finish? Where's the depth? What are you doing? Why'd you pull it from the barrel 2 years too soon when you thought nobody would notice? Guess what? We noticed.
And that's what makes this category so frustrating. because these bottles are often priced just as high as good whiskeys, as really good age-stated whiskeys. So people buy them thinking they're getting something that's a premium, and it's not. It's just a weak, underdeveloped whiskey that took a bunch of shortcuts to make it to the shelves.
Yeah, I feel like we've gotten angrier as this video has gone on.
We have. Honestly, I did not expect to get this angry.
Yeah.
You know, it's always nice to create videos where you also talk about the negative sides of what you're covering, and because the reality is that nothing's perfect, right? Scotch is one of those things that I absolutely love. Scotch, and Scotch is what got me into whiskey to begin with. But when I start seeing these bottles cheapen out and take shortcuts and then charge people more for it when they shouldn't, that's when I start getting upset.
So bottom line, if a bottle has no age statement, is exactly 40% ABV, and isn't from a brand known for high quality no age statement releases, you might want to think twice before getting that bottle.
Yes, you should. And let me tell you something. This is about that time when all of those no age statement bottles get in a line, pick a number, and suck it.
Oh!
If you're gonna go with a no age statement bottle, we recommend having an ABV of at least 46% to give it some punch and some depth, or at least being from a brand that you already respect. Or even, I would say, better yet, read the label. The labels by law are not allowed to lie to you. They could promote the hell out of you. They try to sell you a bill of goods for marketing, right? That they will do, but they can't lie. So if there's something in there in the description that talks about the barrel perhaps, or something unique that calls your attention, by no means don't stop yourself from buying it. Go for it and see if you enjoy it. But me personally, I would steer clear if they're too expensive or if they have no real description in the bottle that stands out to you.
All right, guys, there you have it. 7 Scotches you probably want to skip. Now, I must say, if you love any of these bottles that we talked about, don't take it personally. Taste is subjective, and if you enjoy them, keep drinking what you love. But if you're considering these bottles for the first time, we believe there are better options out there, especially for the price.
And speaking of better options, we have videos on best beginner scotches out there and best peated scotches for beginners. So if you want to know which bottles are actually worth your money, from our perspective, make sure that you watch those as well. They'll both be on your screen in just a moment.
And let us know in the comments which Scotch has let you down the most. Maybe we'll do a part 2.
Yes, and we should. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and share with your friends. Let them know that we are here because we are here to give the best whiskey advice possible.
And don't forget to guess what you think we're drinking.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, until next time, cheers.